The film is based on Jeff Hobbs' biography, the short and tragic life of Robert Peace. Tell me what spoke to you about the life of the real Rob Peace, his journey from Newark to Yale and back, and made you want to tell the story?
Yeah, great question. So many things spoke to me. You know, I suppose Rob, first of all, was born like around the same time as me. He's 1980, you know, so he would have been 3 years younger than me. So the kind of world and the kind of world events, the sort of overall environment that he lived in, I understood, you know, those times, you know, and in the book, that's what Jeff Hobbs, you know, sort of speaks to a lot, you know, how things were in the 80s, in the 90s, 2000s, all of that, and just, you know, and a lot of that journey, that kind of 20 years, I recognized, I understood, I sort of sat in there with Rob a lot. And then I felt that this kind of, what he went through, you know, the kind of, these intersections that he went through, I felt like, you know, sometimes it's that thing that's always on the tip of your tongue, but you haven't expressed it. And somehow in Jeff's story and the way that he writes about Rob and what Rob went through, and just that intersection about, you know, about housing, education, the criminal justice system, just all of the things that he was trying to contend with, and how ultimately those things sort of trapped him. And he was just such a brilliant mind and an incredible person. And I felt that there was an empathy in the book that Jeff was kind of talking to that I felt I wanted to really run with.
Tell me about your meeting with Jay, your first meeting to talk about this role and this project and all that Chiwetel saw in terms of the context around this man's life.
We met a few times before it really clicked in for what the meaning of the story was for me. I think we had a few sessions, and I think we had one time where we did we just read the lines, and get into what's under the line and in between the lines, what's encouraging these characters to say these things, the gaping holes of each character. We focused in on that a lot, and I think that was the most memorable part of it all. I think, again, him being an actor just really helped me know what points I needed to hit. As a director too, it all worked together as a team.
Tell me this, what's it like when your director is also playing your father on screen?
I don't know. We did a good job of just keeping it what it was, where it was when it was that. It wasn't a problem. I think working with him, yeah, it was no problem. The chemistry was a given. I think I just knew how to work with him.
You guys had good banter. You know what I mean? Yeah. You guys were funny.
Camila, you played Naya. Tell me about what resonated with you, not just about the story at large and about Rob Peace's life, but about this character, Naya.
I mean, I feel like I really saw myself in Naya, in the sense that I feel like her empathy for people around her and for the world, and just like this optimism for trying to really make the world a better place, and not just like accepting circumstances as they are, but really wanting better for herself, for the people around her, and, you know, for like the future of humanity. I loved that strength, and, you know, her also like being an immigrant and, you know, being a Latin woman coming from Brazil to seeking better opportunities in Yale. Like, I really saw myself reflected in that story, because I also, you know, emigrated from Cuba, and that like education and going to university, even though that ended up not being my story, was like so important and ingrained in me from when I was young. So I really saw myself in that character.
Your two characters meet at Yale, which one of the other interesting things in the story is to be from an underrepresented community at a place, at an institution like Yale, and what that's like. Tell me a little bit about that factor in both of their stories, and the idea of place. As Chiwetel, you've talked about, this was a young man who wanted to stay in his community, wanted to come back to his community after going to a place like Yale?
For me, I think the opportunity that he had to come from the community he went to, working as hard as he did on his craft, I related to that very, very much so. His commitment to family, his loyalty to family. Loyalty was really something that stuck out. Loyalty to family, loyalty to self, loyalty to craft, at the cost and the price of the tragedy. You know, I think I really related to that, and it was a reflective moment for me. It was like a mirror. I was like, okay, this is somebody who will do anything for his mother. He's somebody who will do anything for his family. You know, and sometimes you go down the deep end on that one. I think it's we all can relate to that a little bit.
For me, like I remember, I was just thinking, like in the car on the way here, I was reflecting on the experience of, you know, us going into set every day, and I remember I would do this like compassion exercise every day, and I would reflect on the real man, Rob Peace, and I would think of like his family members and his friends, and just kind of reflect on everybody that was affected by, you know, his death and his loss. And I think just like that training of empathy is like, it's just so, like I loved that part of it. And yeah, I think that's like what movies and art is for, is like opening your perspective and opening your mind, and, you know, seeing beyond like that judgment or binary of like what Chiwetel was saying before, of like, oh, he didn't get out, or he failed, or he, whatever. Like really being able to see the complexity of that, of somebody who is like so brilliant, but so many forces kind of like, you know, like we lost this like amazing person. Yeah, and just like being able to reflect on that every day and trying to train that empathy muscle and feel connected to somebody who isn't even here with us right now, I think is like really powerful.
This idea of the ways in which we can't lose young men like this anymore, you know, and we've got to do everything we can do to help and assist and be allies to that, to understand that people are going through these struggles, they are going through these challenges. Not everybody comes from the same place, not everybody has the same impacts and pressure points in their lives, and there are people who are trying to do right by so many people every single day, you know, and finding that they're not supported in that. You know, people don't understand, or they dismiss it, or they don't care, or whatever. It's not enough, and just sort of getting under the hood of those things, sort of understanding that, and not being in a world where, you know, Rob Peace isn't sitting with us, you know, and his brilliance isn't shining for all of us to see. He should be here. That's what I took away from the film.